episode 15 of the RFL podcast. As you can see, it is all of us ladies. So we're going to be talking about weddings, portraiture, and all things professional. Ladies, let's get into it. What do we got on the table today?
Who's going first?
You start.
I put my film camera on the table. It is a Canon EOS 1N, and it was made in 1994. I looked this up right before this. And so it's kind of just like a pro film camera. And then I brought one of my 2 camera straps that I use on a wedding day.
What kind of camera strap is that?
It is a Choreo, like across the shoulder. I also have a dual harness, so in case during a wedding I wanted to shoot both digital and film at the same time, I have both cameras readily easy to access.
Okay.
It sounds really nice.
Yeah, it does.
She says that because she had 2 film cameras with her at a wedding that we did recently. And she just had them both around her neck, and I can't imagine how painful that must have been.
It was pretty bad, yeah. But I made it. I'm alive, so.
You lived through it.
Yeah.
What do you have on the table, Bree?
So I have that bag up in the front that I bought the night before the wedding at TJ Maxx, and it could fit all of the backings for the contacts. I put all the batteries for the cameras and extra film. It just fit everything that I needed, and it was really nice.
It's awesome. I have a black fanny pack that I use when I go to weddings too.
Yeah.
I have a
nice
hip strapped tactical belt.
So this might be a little bit off topic, but we were talking about this earlier. There's something called like a spider belt.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
And basically instead of a harness that goes around your shoulders, it's just like a belt, and then your camera clips in. And
yeah, it has like the metal piece you put on the bottom of the camera, and then you just hook it onto the metal thing that's on the belt.
Do you have to unhook it every time you want to use it?
I think it's just
it's
a
a button,
clip.
really.
Yeah, like it's a little lever that you lift or something like that. But I'm wondering if it would be more comfortable, like during a wedding day, to
I think it
have
would be.
that.
I think for me working here, using the belt, I've gotten
Oh my
so
goodness.
used to the belt. I hate camera bags, camera backpacks.
Yeah.
They're not convenient. They're not very, I don't know. I just don't love them. So
I have one that I use for all my digital stuff because it fits everything. Because I usually bring a lot of stuff, but I don't usually wear it. I'll like put it on the ground where I'm working and unzip it, and then pull stuff out of it, and then I'll put it on to like walk somewhere. But yeah,
but I
as
still
far
need
as like
something to
wearing it,
hold
pulling it out and
everything.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even though I don't shoot as often as you guys on like vacations when I use my film camera, it is annoying when you're like, oh my gosh, I want to get that before we move on, and you have to, pull the bag around, unzip it, make sure everything is still functional after being pulled out of the bag. So, yeah.
What did you bring to the table, Ava?
I put on some films you shouldn't shoot and some you definitely should try.
What are some that you shouldn't shoot?
We put turquoise, amber, T200, and then I put Revolog texture because it's just a crazy, crazy film and I really don't like it. And then I actually put Ektar because I wouldn't shoot it for a wedding because the way it renders skin tones isn't very nice as opposed to other films that are really great. So yeah, it's a good film, but I would never shoot it for a wedding.
Makes sense. We've seen some photos of weddings taken with Lomo turquoise.
Oh my.
They are creepy.
Well, me and Ava did a video, the Wheel of Film, episode 4, and I got turquoise, and it looked interesting for portraits.
Yeah, just don't.
Don't do it.
It makes everyone look like zombies almost,
Yeah.
like gray skin,
blue, grayish, yeah.
Yeah, it just is not the wedding vibe unless you're going for a creepy vibe.
Yeah.
Then maybe it's the film for you.
I think if you did it properly in a more editorial setting in a studio, you could make it work. But for on location when you are surrounded by vegetation and stuff like that, it's just probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
So that being said, which films are best for skin tones?
I'd probably have to say Portrait or Gold. Actually, Gold, in my opinion, is better, but I really like Portrait 800. But I know Brie loves Portrait 400, so...
I just think it's a little too green for my liking, but I shot, I think, an entire pack for the wedding, so did its job. But I will say that I liked the 800 more for the ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah.
So me and Bree, we photographed a wedding this past Friday in St. Augustine, and she was my second. And so I was shooting digital the entire time. Bree shot film. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience for the wedding?
So that was my first wedding that I had ever shot, and I've always wanted to shoot a wedding entirely on film, so I didn't have any digital cameras with me. I had brought so much film. I think I might have brought in maybe 15 rolls. Ended up shooting 9, but I had my Elan on me with the 70-200, and then I had the Contact 645 with, I think it was a 45 millimeter lens. So I had telephoto and then wide angle, and I shot pretty much exclusively gold in the 645, and then portrait in the Elan.
Which did you like the results of better?
The Elan. I don't know if maybe it was because I was so sorry, I thought I saw something. I don't know if it's because I'm so familiar with my Elan that it was just so much easier for me to use and work. But yeah, those came out. I was happy with how those came out. Some of the contacts I was like, might need to practice it a little bit, but
It's also just such a big camera.
it is.
It's like you're moving around with it.
Bruise on my hip.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
It didn't last very long, but yeah, I think because it kept on like hitting right where my hip bone was. So that was fun.
Are there any other cameras that you guys would recommend?
Just gonna ask that.
I would probably shoot my Pentax 645. It's a little smaller. I think though when the video we did, we figured out the Pentax is actually a little bit heavier, but it is smaller. So I don't know, but I'd probably shoot that, honestly, or the Minolta CLE. But
Really? At
See,
a
the thing
wedding?
is, not oh yeah. The thing about the CLE is the rangefinder, so
Right.
everything takes a minute unless you're like really good at it, which
Yeah,
I'm not
if-
yet. But
I will always shoot something with autofocus and automatic advancement because we have that technology and I'm going to use it. So
and for a wedding, everything is so
Quick,
fast paced, and
yeah.
if you don't get the shot, you don't get the shot. That's it.
Yeah. We could talk about that. There was one shot that I didn't get that thankfully Bree did.
yeah.
It was at the end of the aisle, they did a dip, and I got a photo of it, but it was blurry and out of focus. But Bree,
I got it.
she got it.
I got it.
And that's a benefit of having a second shooter.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So, what do you guys think? Speaking of not quite getting a picture, about external lighting with film, and particularly with weddings, what films would you guys suggest for that sort of environment or situation?
So like for like reception, the lighting.
Yeah.
So for the reception, I had brought my speed light, and I had never used the speed light with my Elan. So I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And some of them have this like shutter drag or, I mean, they were all exposed, and some of them kind of look cool, I think, with that effect, but it wasn't perfect by any means. I also think that there were some where the flash didn't go off. So that was unfortunate, but using film, I think I just did 400. I think if you're using a flash, you can go lower. You don't have to like do an 800.
Yeah, I would have to agree because the flash too, if you have a good speed light, it can give off a lot of light.
Yeah. Well, so I also used one of my little point and shoots. It's like a little Pentax point and shoot. And although I wouldn't suggest it if you absolutely need to get a shot, I was doing the cake cutting. I don't know if it was the best camera to use. I like how the photos turned out. Thankfully, like it worked, but it's not on time. That doesn't make much sense when I say that, but it like when I hit the shutter, it'll take a second or two and then the flash will go off. but I think it still has this like really cool vibe to it, which I really like for a reception. So
Yeah.
maybe a point and shoot
I
with a
definitely-
400.
I definitely think during a reception, after like major moments, like once when you get to like the party and the fun, point and shoots can be fun to play with.
Yeah.
I think that reception time is like a great time to try and play around with flash because you have a little bit
for
more
sure.
downtime when people are partying. And so it's fun to get kind of those more nostalgic kind of photos.
And I feel like with a
Yeah.
reception, you're gonna get redundant photos anyway, so you might as well take that time and try something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, or yeah, fun.
I try to do that with my digital photos too, like trying like shutter drag and seeing if I can
Right.
get some like light
Yeah.
blurs and flash them and then freeze their motion. But yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say is like you'll have like the first 30 minutes into like the partying and then like the last time, but then towards like the middle of it, you can definitely do stuff like that.
Yeah,
But I was interested then if I was gonna ask if you did do that, the shutter drag, because I've seen other people do it, but I've never personally tried it. Did it come out or did it? I don't know.
Yeah. Some of them came out okay. I'm still trying to like really like nail it down because I do think that I have more room for improvement there. What's difficult is I swear every time I try to like, I change my settings, set up my flash. As soon as I do that, someone's like, "Can you take a picture of me?" And so
You're
then I
like,
have to be like, hold on and change all my settings back and then take a photo of them and then try again.
yeah. Well, so for the reception, did you have your camera on, or did you have the flash on your camera,
So
or did you just have it on the light stands?
I changed it up throughout the
Okay.
reception a little bit. I have some cameras that I keep off, like off camera flashes. And then I have one flash that I keep on camera usually. So I'll have, Bree has a photo of this. I'll have my camera. It's a beast of a thing. It usually has a battery grip on it too. And then I'll have a trigger and then I'll have my flash attached to the trigger.
Yeah, I thought my contacts was heavy, and then I picked that thing up, and I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta do workouts
Exactly.
with that thing.
And so that way I can walk around the environment and be able to control all my flashes with my trigger and be able to take photos from any place while still having a camera on my, or a flash on my camera. So that way if I need, I can turn that one on and take a picture. Like if I'm somewhere where my off camera flashes aren't covering.
So with your on camera flash, then you use the speed light,
Yes.
and do you shoot in manual or?
I am a manual
PTO.
junkie. Like you can try manual for my cold.
That is so
red
funny
hands.
because I was shooting mostly in, I think, aperture priority. I love aperture priority or shutter priority, depending on what I'm shooting. And then for my flash, I had it in ETTL.
Yeah.
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 So no
Yeah.
manual for me.
I think it depends. You know, for a lot of people, like they're confident in their tools to be able to do the job. For me, I really like to have consistency and it makes editing just a little bit easier for me. So when I know that my flash is the same and my white balance is the same and I know that my settings are the same, I know that every photo that I take in that batch will be the same kind of lighting, the same kind of coloring, and so then it just makes it a little bit easier to batch sync when I'm editing. But I'm talking about digital right now.
Right.
Not
Do
film.
you have
Yeah.
that setting on where what you see in the viewfinder is what the exposure is?
I do.
Yeah.
And depth
And
of
I
field.
think that makes it a lot quicker because I have that on my digital camera too. But when I'm shooting film, like I do trust my camera a
Yeah.
lot, and I'm like,
Right.
I don't
yeah.
wanna- have
and
to
that makes sense. You
read it.
can't visually see.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's again one of the things about shooting film is you can't check it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
After having seen the images and Brie, this being your first wedding, what would you guys change? I know all three of you have done weddings at this point. What is something you would change after having done it?
I'd bring more high-speed films. I feel like I relied a lot on Portra 400, and at some moments, it just wasn't enough. And I did really enjoy how Portra 800 looked, so I think I would have maybe had a couple more rolls of that. Definitely.
Sorry.
Do you have anything to say?
I mean, I probably just would have brought more of what I had when I shot the last wedding, just because I felt like I didn't bring everything I could have or should have. So
What
it's like
would you have brought?
overpack, I guess. Well, I probably would have brought 2 speed lights, because I only brought 1, and then I probably would have brought a few of my other lenses, because I think at the time I actually didn't own a 24-70, so I borrowed John's, which was an amazing lens, and I wouldn't change having that. That is like a
own
must.
said lens now.
It's like a must for a wedding for
Yep.
me. But or almost any portraiture shoot, I'm always bringing my 24-70. But now I just make it a habit to kind of bring everything and then extra batteries for the speed lights, because they use batteries like
They do.
crazy.
I could tell that mine was like slowing down a little bit at some point, which might be the Shutter Dragon why it wasn't firing at some points. I just don't think it was recharging quick enough. I just popped in the new batteries, and I think that roll was much better. So that was crazy, but
I always try to keep more batteries because they always run out, and they're not too expensive to just keep a few packs. But yeah.
I use Godox flashes, and they use lithium batteries now, and those batteries will get me like 2 or 3 weddings.
really,
Yeah,
Wow.
Sometimes I don't ever push it. I always charge before every wedding, but like
Right.
I think I had them fully charged before the wedding, and I'm not even sure they got to like half hour.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I need a new flash because mine I bought before an event that I did years ago, and it was like $50 at Best Buy. And I think now I've learned so much, and I think it's slowing down too. It just doesn't have all that I need. So
Yeah.
I need a new one. Might look into the Godox.
Your equipment needs to grow with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to do more experimenting and manual specifically, because I feel like I could do it, but it would just take me too long. Like I would just be sitting there for too long, and then I'd be like, okay,
Right.
we just need to like, I don't know. Yeah, I just need to do more with it, I think.
Okay. In the past, when I've tried shooting film, I've only ever tried shooting for like a couple of photos during ceremony, a couple of photos during formal portraits. I haven't really tried anything with the reception. So that's something that not necessarily I would change per se, but something that I think that I could learn and grow in is trying out flash with film during a reception, because that's not something I've attempted yet.
I talked about this with Vanessa at the wedding, but one of my cousins got married, and my younger cousin, I gave her one of my point and shoots with a roll of film this was for the rehearsal dinner, but I think this could still apply. And those photos were so cute because she kind of knew everyone at the wedding, and I think she definitely had this different connection that I did. And so I don't know, if you like give a kid a camera and you might get something fun.
But then you also give kids disposable cameras and their pictures of like their face or their nose or their thumb.
Yeah,
Or the ground.
it's risky for sure, but
Oh yeah.
it can be really cute. So
to pick the right person to give it to.
yeah.
That's one thing I would say about weddings with the disposable cameras on the table is if the kids get a hold of them, usually
Well,
they
and then
use a lot of all the
with
pictures,
the
and then it's
Disposable
It's done.
cameras, like the flash, you got to charge it. You got to make sure that it's up, and especially on the Fuji ones, if they accidentally hit that light down,
yeah.
then
Well,
how
in
are
the
they gonna do
Kodak
that?
ones, you have to sit there and hold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with a point and shoot, it just does it for you. So if you are willing to maybe risk a point and shoot, might look
That's
into
true.
that.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah.
What point and shoot then would you suggest for a wedding? Or like would you just like bring
Whatever you can get your hands on, whatever I guess is like cheap on eBay or
on eBay?
KEH,
Because I need to get a nice small one.
Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, whatever you can just find.
So one of the things I was going to ask is, one of the things I thought we should talk about is, let's say you're a couple and you're planning a wedding and you want to integrate film into your wedding day. How can you do that? So we just kind of touched a little bit on that about the disposable cameras.
Disposable cameras.
I think disposable cameras is I guess in my head, it's the biggest way to do that with the most people involved. Unless you're doing like a disposable camera for a guest book or like a Polaroid for your guest book. I've seen people do that before, and
I
that's
like
cool.
that idea. I did that for my wedding.
Did it turn out?
Yeah, except we lost the book.
Vanessa!
I know. Well, I'll have to show it. We did the photos of me and my husband that our friend took on the Polaroid camera. We just took it that night. And so I have one in my wallet and my husband has one in his wallet from our wedding day. I'll have to show you guys. But yeah, the guest book, it got lost. Someone picked it up and I thought it was at my parents' house. And then I searched through my parents' house, brought everything that I had home and it wasn't there. And then I asked my in-laws and they said they didn't have it. So I have no idea what happened to it.
Who took it?
I have no idea.
Cold case.
Cold case, actually. I've tried so hard looking for it
Track
because,
it down.
yeah, because I don't know, some of the people that wrote in there have passed. So it's like I wanted to be able to go back and read their messages and see their handwriting.
Well, also, you probably didn't get to look at it.
Not really. I mean, during the wedding, I briefly went through it, but yeah.
But like look at it once it was done, like completed.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's a great way to implement film into your wedding is you can do
make sure you grab
Polaroid
it.
and use it as a guest book.
Or designate someone to grab it and bring it to your house.
Absolutely. Well, what happened was I DIY'd a lot of my wedding. And so I had family decorate. And so at the end of the day, everybody was just throwing the decorations into bags and boxes. And then it was just put somewhere.
Put where?
My parents' house, but not that
Not the
apparently.
book. Oh,
not
weird.
the book.
I really, really want to know who took it now.
Wow.
Also, who takes a wedding guest book?
I feel like it may have accidentally been like thrown out or something like that.
Thrown out is crazy, though.
I don't know.
So sad.
That's sad.
It is sad.
Anyway,
Back to the question.
I think you could also hire someone who does film. Right.
Yeah.
Or someone who's experimenting with film. Bree's doing her little, she's like, hire me.
It's me. Yeah. Well, I think about like when I get married or if I get married. We won't get into that. But I don't think I'll be able to go my wedding day without having a camera on me. As a photographer.
Oh, I've been thinking about that too.
And like documenting the day from my perspective, I think could be interesting. So
Like
that might be
one
it.
of the little point and shoots.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's what I've been thinking about it because as of right now, I don't have any like designated film photographer because I just haven't gotten that
And
far
it
in
could be
planning.
yourself. That would be
Yeah,
so
but I
cute.
also don't. Yeah.
But some of those moments you might want on film, you can't take because you have to be in the picture.
Oh no, for sure. Like
Well,
when
yeah.
I'm like saying my vows, I'm just gonna be like, wait, hold on. It's like in the middle of it. And I feel like it's gonna be very on brand.
You're walking down there, you're like, oh my goodness.
I'm gonna turn to the people and I'm gonna be like, wait, you guys look so cute. Hold
You
on.
guys slayed your outfits. 1 second.
That's totally how it's gonna be. Yeah.
That's so funny. Ava, how do you see incorporating film into your own wedding coming in October?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do the disposable cameras, but I'm going to give them to certain people. I'm not just going to put them on the tables.
Are you going to
'Cause-
decorate the cameras? Because I've seen like people, they'll decorate. No.
No, the classic disposable camera look is the look.
Yeah,
Like
I get
that's
that.
what it is.
Okay.
I like that.
Also, I'm not
respect.
going to spend the extra money.
Well, you can get. I was looking at this because I've been thinking about offering that to my clients, and you can get like a sticker template for like $6 on Etsy,
I've seen that actually.
and then I have a Cricut, so then it just prints it out for me.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I guess you had that, yeah.
Cute.
I don't know. I like the classic look of it though.
Which one,
That's fair.
Fuji or Kodak?
Probably the Kodak ones. I just think they're just better made.
Speaking of a Kodak camera.
Kodak disposable, guys.
They do. It does look
Thank you,
really
Michael.
classic.
I know it's like the classic, the everything.
Is that the Polaroid?
this is the Polaroid for my wedding.
How cute. Aw.
Stays in my wallet.
Y'all are so cute.
When I went to my cousin's wedding, you guys are adorable. They really liked film, but they had a digital photographer and a videographer. But I brought my AE1, my Canon AE1, and then I've also brought my Polaroid. And since I knew they wanted photos, I just sat on the edge of the aisle and just took photos of them, like during the ceremony. And then I kind of was like, when they went off to do their portraits and everyone else was doing like cocktail hour and like in the reception hall, I kind of just like went over to where they were doing them. Eventually, because I knew they wanted it, but I didn't want to be like, because I wasn't photographing the wedding, they were photographing the wedding. So I didn't want to like just come in and be like, hey, I'm going to photograph with you now. But they eventually were like, hey, do you want to just come with us? Like, just come with us and just don't get in our way and you're fine. And then it ended up being really nice. I think I shot Portrait 400 and gold. No, actually, it was reformed day shots.
Interesting.
I think it was like half of all that because that's just what I had on my camera. And then I switched to Portrait. And actually, the day shots came out pretty cool. Like, it depends on the look you're going for, but since it's the cinema film, it had little red hues.
Halation?
Yeah, halations.
I love halation.
It was actually really cool. And then I shot Polaroid too.
So
It's just
in
fun.
comparison to shooting film just in like a portrait session versus a wedding, how would you guys describe that difference? And what films would you guys say are best for each?
My first inkling is go with the films you know are going to work for a wedding. Because it's not going to you can't redo that. You can usually reschedule a shoot or like just do another one. Most of the time, sometimes you can't. But I'd say if you're going to experiment with different types of film, first off, you're going to experiment with the weird ones. Definitely just don't shoot anything professional, I'd say. Just do some random stuff if you just want to see if you like how turquoise looks.
It looks weird.
Yes.
I saved you the hassle. There you go.
There you go. It looks weird. Go watch Wheel of Film and you'll see how
Yeah.
weird it looks.
I think for me, the biggest difference is going to be the pressure. So like during a portrait session, I feel a little bit more secure in taking film photos because I know like, okay, if I'm taking some on my camera, on my digital camera, and then I take some on my film camera, if the film ones don't turn out, like that's okay. But in a wedding, every moment is like very singular. Like in a portrait session, you can stage things, set things up. And so then you can always like take it on the digital and the film, and then there's not a risk there. But when they're doing their first kiss, you got to pick one or the other. And so to me, there's only like, okay, with a ceremony, it only lasts like 15 to 30 minutes. A wedding that I did in February, it was only like 5 minutes, like 10 minutes if you include the recessional and the walking out. So I had maybe 5 minutes to make sure that I had everything on my shot list. So I didn't even have time to pull out my film camera because I needed to make sure that I got the important moments on my digital to make sure that I actually had the photos versus playing around on film. And that's probably partially because I'm not fully used to film, that I don't feel entirely confident to try and capture a first kiss moment on film. But to me, like that's a big difference is I tend to take less photos on film during a wedding than I do during a portrait session just because of.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's really like a good point too, is if you're doing a wedding, you have a lot of things that you need to make sure you capture. And if you're going to experiment with film, your digital needs to take priority.
Yeah.
Especially if you're experimenting or if you're just not confident. If you're just not confident in it. English. But yeah, that's a good point. Bree?
Yeah, I would agree with Vanessa. Like they are very different events, and you can redo a portrait session if you have the time or if it is just that important. But a wedding is kind of a once in a lifetime thing for those people. So yeah, you gotta be confident in your gear.
I think that goes into just shooting random things with your gear.
Right.
Like just making sure you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big thing. Like you need to, especially at least for me when I shoot manual, like I need to be able to know what to change immediately, how to change it. I had one little malfunction. Do you remember that at the wedding? On my camera, there's a switch for on and off, but in the middle there's a lock. And so at some point in time during the wedding, I was like, what's happening with my focus? And I accidentally bumped it from on to lock. And it like took me a moment to figure it out. And if that had happened during
Like the ceremony.
or something like that, I would need to know that. Thankfully, even though it was on lock, my digital camera has like touch feature. So if I touched it, it would have focused and taken the camera without me having to like
Unlock it.
But like I wasn't able to use my joystick and my back button focus to focus in those moments. So yeah, knowing your equipment is essential.
Very important.
So don't just shoot weddings. Get to know your gear in a non-wedding
Definitely.
scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do weddings, I would recommend second shooting for someone first. You don't want your first experience to be somebody's wedding and to mess something up that unless, like you're doing it as like a friend or for free, or it's like something small, like that's something different. But like if you're taking on like a full on paid wedding, like,
Well, even
Yeah.
now, like the people I went to high school with are now getting engaged and they're planning weddings. And then they'll ask me, they're like, hey, like we went to school together. Will you take my photos? And I'm like, sorry, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. I definitely used to say no, but I think I had a close couple of mine asked me to do their wedding, and I was like, I'd consider it. And then I was like, yeah, I mean, I would do it because they also have a pretty low budget, which is fine because a lot of people struggle to pay for weddings because they are freaking expensive. But so if I'm able to do that for them, I was like, well, I'll do that. And then like 3 other people asked me, and I was like, oh, well
next thing you know,
whatever.
you're going to be a wedding photographer.
whatever. Yeah. My first experience doing a wedding was very kind of buck wild. It was a backyard wedding, and there wasn't a reception really. It was kind of just like cocktail hour that was it. So it was like they had the ceremony, which also she like walked from the side of the house. So the whole thing was kind of interesting. And then the way the chairs were set, there was no aisle. So that was also interesting because I was like standing in between people in the chairs with people because they were just in rows. It was just a whole around weird experience. But I would love to second shoot with you sometime.
Yeah, that can absolutely be arranged.
I'm not gonna copy you, but
I've been slowly I'm networking because it's a lot
She's
to
like
do.
getting her little minions.
she's like, hey. Well, then too, if you need a second shooter,
Yeah. Well, it's a lot to
That you
handle
don't
on a
know.
wedding day. Especially like the last one that I did. It would have been really
Well,
difficult to just be by myself.
The one that we did was how many hours?
I was there for 13 hours.
I was there for 10, I think.
Yeah, 10.
It's
And
a long day.
it was a very long day. It was really cool. We were in St. Augustine, so we had portraits at the Leitner Museum at Flagler College and at the fort that's there. But it was like 4 hours straight of
Just photos,
formal
and it
portraits.
was so hot, and there was not one cloud
Pro
to cover.
tip, if you're getting married and you're in Florida, venues will be cheaper in the summer
that's true.
because it's off season. Everywhere else it's on season, like it's wedding season during the summer, but for Florida it's off season. But 2, choose a venue that is indoors.
Yes.
Either indoors or
Yes.
heavily shaded with a breeze.
AC is key.
That can lead us into tips for your wedding from those who have photographed.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Weddings.
good one. All right,
Just about to ask that, Brie.
Well, I remember one thing that you were not frustrated with, but you were like, man, why don't they have area on the sides? So there was like the main aisle, but then there was nothing on the sides of the seats.
Yep. So for the ceremony space, if you have the building, I'm gonna like visualize this. you had the seats set up for the ceremony, and there was the center aisle where the bride and the groom and everybody walked down. The guests had to walk down the center aisle, and then they would have to move all the way to the sides for the chairs, because directly to the sides of all the chairs was the wall. There was no aisle space between the chairs and the walls. So excuse me, as a photographer, it just makes it a little bit difficult, because certain angles we then have to be up in the very front.
Yeah.
Right next to you guys to get those photographs. So it's a little bit more invasive as a photographer to be able to get the key shots that you want. Otherwise, we have to go all the way to in the middle of the aisle and go all the way back and go to the side. But then, we're blocked by the wall. And so
Right. Oh, geez.
that's a small thing that we have to think about. Most people aren't going to choose, I feel like, their venue based off of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is just a small thing. If it is really important to you to make sure that you can get key shots without photographers being right up in your business, maybe something to think about for sure.
Yeah, that's important to you. If not, you having a photographer, but you just don't want to see them, you don't want to hear them, then yeah, definitely would have to consider that.
Yeah. Do you have any tips? As someone who's both planning a wedding and has shot a wedding.
I mean, I'd say thinking of the timeline very realistically.
Yes.
And giving the time to the photographer. I am giving so much time in my itinerary of the day to do portraits after the ceremony, because being a photographer too, it's that is the most important part to me besides actually getting married. But I figured out my photographer and contacted her before I even had a place, before I was even engaged. I was like, nope, I just have to make sure I have the right person. So yeah, I only have my photographer coming, I think 45 minutes before ceremony to get final getting ready photos. Cause I don't need I don't need the middle stuff, especially if I'm going to have my own point and shoot. I just want the final stuff.
True.
So it's also thinking about
so
what
many
you need.
photographers at the same time. You're going to have photos.
Yeah. One of my bridesmaids is also a photographer. So
Right.
not that I don't know. I'll probably just have a point and shoot and be like, oh, take this photo.
Right.
Everyone can use a point and shoot. Hopefully. Yeah, I would just say also talk to your photographer. Ask them about the itinerary, because I'm sure you've helped people with their itineraries based on photography, because that will definitely, because lighting is all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, the lighting.
I have so many things that I could talk about. And so I'm trying to which is most important. So I'll just talk a little bit about what I talk to my couples about when they're planning. I usually set up a meeting with my couples, and I send them the opportunity to set up a meeting up to 2 months before the wedding. And so that is where we mostly go over timeline and we go over shot list. And so different couples will come to me at different points in time. Sometimes they'll already have a timeline and they'll be like, oh, this is it. And I'm like, great. And then we get to talk about more about style and things like that. Whereas sometimes they don't have the timeline at all. And so then we're kind of building it together from scratch. But one of the things I like for them to think about is how they want to feel on their wedding day. And then how we can facilitate that, because things don't just happen on a wedding day. There are so many moments where the couple, they'll walk down the aisle and then they're like, now what? Where do I go?
Yeah.
And maybe confused isn't something you want to feel on a wedding day. So I always ask them, start from the beginning of the day, walk me through the moments and how do you want to feel? And so I would say when you pick a photographer, know the kind of style, you can look at the photos and see the kind of style and know that that's the style that you're going to receive, with a little bit of flexibility, because photographers can change their style. But also, I would definitely talk to them to figure out how hands-on they are, because there's different styles in the way that they approach a wedding. There's a very traditional way where they come in, they take photographs, they'll pose you, they'll guide you, they'll set you in a position where there's better light, and then they'll let the moment unfold. Or maybe they're more editorial and they're posing you in a very specific way. So how involved do you want your photographer to be? And talk to them about that. And I mean, there's so much. I could go on and on for like an hour with tips and tricks.
But here's like another thing that I've thought about. I won't be having, I don't know how common lasers are for the reception. Won't be doing that. I don't even know if I'll be doing colored lights. Well,
yeah.
flash, I don't know.
For shooting a wedding?
For the reception. But yeah,
Oh, like
for shooting it.
in the oh, I see.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I've seen
Interesting.
people shoot at an event where there's lasers and then their sensors like completely shut after that.
Yes. Yep. Lasers
Oh,
can
yeah.
ruin camera sensors. So if you want to make sure your photos are nice and secure, don't let your DJ use
I wonder what
lasers.
it does to film. You experiment?
with the colored light. So I think like during reception, like when it's party time, I think that's a great time to have colored light. Ask your
Don't in your
DJ.
ceremony. Ugh.
Oh no.
Not in your
Ask your DJ to turn off colored light, like flashing colored lights during your first dance.
Yes.
I've almost every wedding I go to, I feel like there's always some crazy lights going on during.
Right.
It happened at my wedding. Like there were lasers and colored lights during our first dance,
had
which was supposed to be like really romantic.
Right.
Not the
that's
vibe.
not the vibe. No.
Well, I think like in the moment it looks cool, but I guess I do think more about the photos, which might be bad, but as a photographer, I'm just thinking about what the photos are going to look like. And I don't want a weird yellow color cast on me.
Green.
Yeah. Well, because there's also
Green.
all of that, the perfect white of the dress. There's
Yeah.
also that whole thing of like the 15% gray,
18%.
18% gray. That's like even just on the fact that your dress is white and everything
Yeah.
else isn't white. You have that too. If you have a lot of colored lights, you will probably won't look white.
Oh, we could even talk about that with the white dress and exposing for that because
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was in the mid daylight. That I figured out was difficult. It was so bright. And then everyone else around her was wearing something dark. And so it looked,
Yeah, it's like how
to
you
expose it was difficult.
balance that.
So that's another thing is like bridesmaid dresses. That's going to cast onto you at some points in your photos. Think about that. So
Okay, so just to wrap up, what would you guys say your favorite and least favorite things about shooting weddings are?
The stress of it.
I don't know. I love second shooting because I didn't have much, I don't want to say responsibility, but you know, it's
At
like
the end of the day, you're not the main
Vanessa.
photographer. You're not the one that people go to and like, hey, what happened or
I
whatever.
could see a lot of people going to Vanessa for like, can you take this photo? Can you do this? Can you
It's
do that?
funny
And
to
I was
me
just standing there.
when people go up to videographers and they're like, "Can you take our photo?"
He's like,
He's like, "No."
No, I can't.
no, go ask the photographer.
Wrong person.
That's something that we didn't talk about though. Videographer versus photographer. They need to at least have some sort of understanding.
Yeah.
Because if you have a videographer that is just not willing to work with the photographer, it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. And I guess maybe communicate which one you value more, whether it's videography or photography.
Yeah. Or even if you just have them
I think it's
communicate.
Both. I definitely think
yeah.
you need to be a team.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
This past wedding that we did, it was my first time working with a videographer. And he was really cool. He was really chill. He told me he doesn't prefer weddings. He prefers real estate. But he was a friend of the couple. And so he was just kind of doing them a favor. And so it was, honestly, there were some really fun moments. So like right after the first kiss, actually, we can talk about this. During the first kiss, the three of us, there were no other angles that we could get because they just had the center aisle. So we were lined up. Brie was like squatted down.
Yeah, I
with
was
her
like
film
I
camera.
was sitting on the ground. Yeah.
I was just like a little bit crouched, like taking a photo, and then the videographer was above me
Yeah.
getting the shot. And so we were just lined up 1, 2, 3, trying to get the first kiss. And so once when the first kiss happened, I don't even know where you went. Did you like run to the back?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Kind of where they went out.
Yeah. Me and the videographer, we went side by side and like our shoulders were touching and we like went in sync, backing up together. So
Interesting.
that was a fun moment, honestly, to like
Yeah.
try and like time my walk
Right.
with them. But it did cause some of the photos to not be completely center. So that is something like if you have both, someone's going to be off center. You can't have both people in the center.
With that, let's take a break and we'll come back and continue talking about weddings, film, and just photography. Because I think that was definitely.
All right, and we're back from the break. We want to continue talking about tips and favorite and least favorite things about wedding photography. So let's kick it off.
One thing I think that we mentioned on the break that we'll say again now is having your officiant move out of the way.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And
Please.
him moving out of the way before he gives permission
To kiss.
to kiss,
Yes.
because it's already too late, as Vanessa pointed out earlier.
Yeah. So if he says you may kiss the bride or you may kiss the groom, and then you move, then it's too late because they're
You're gonna
already
be like
kissing.
walking out of the
They
frame.
don't want to wait.
Right. So before he says you may kiss, move out of the way. Have it move. And sometimes he'll forget. It's okay. My officiant forgot, but my husband knew it was important to me, and he went and had him move.
Like, time to move.
And then he was like,
Well done.
and have him move to, if you have a gentleman's side, have him move to that side. That way
Yes.
it'll just fit in.
Yeah, because then he'd look kind of weird with all the dresses.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd say about the ceremony is maybe consider making an announcement before the wedding. Have your officiant say something about the iPhones in the middle of the aisle, because you spend a lot of money on photographers and videographers, and it's not going to be better than their iPhone photo or video. So just put it away.
Okay, so I have an unpopular opinion about this. I don't care. I can understand why people like would care for their photos, but I guess again thinking about my wedding, I think it's cute that people want to also take a video, and I don't know.
Yeah,
It's more when they're leaning into the aisle. I don't care if you take a video from your seat. It's
Right.
more like if I'm looking down the aisle and all I see is iPhones.
Yeah, as long as you're not like
That's
in the
more
way of the photographer, but even if I can see it, I won't care.
So in terms of like, I don't care like if that's what you choose, but I do
Right.
feel like at a wedding, like you should be present.
At the same,
And-
yeah, I think like theater etiquette very much applies to ceremony.
Yes.
Yes.
I do think it is just a little disrespectful if you do have your phone out.
Yeah.
But again, I can see why you would feel, I guess, almost overjoyed to where you feel the need to take a video, but at the same time.
Well, the thing
'cause
too
think
with
about
like
it.
videoing and photographing things on your phone is like you want to capture those moments. So like, yeah, I do
Yeah.
see the like, oh, that's like really sweet.
Well,
you
and
just need to
also-
do it in a way that's not going to get in the way.
Yeah, because also they aren't going to get all the pictures that you're going to get. So that's how they're going to remember it.
They'll see it
And-
up on wherever.
Yeah, no,
Well,
but that's
not
true.
necessarily.
But that is true.
At the end of the day, a lot of the times the couple wants to have like something. They want to be able to like, oh my gosh, this was so exciting. And then they want to like look back on the memories immediately, but they can't because professional photography, it takes a while to get
Yeah.
the photos back.
Yeah.
So I do understand like the excitement. Maybe consider a content creator. For
Yeah, those are
your-
on the rise.
Those are on the rise
Interesting.
for your wedding. And so it's basically someone who just record like the more candid moments, and like the night of, they can give it to you. They can make you a reel. They can make you something
yeah.
to
that's
post.
cool.
And then they also make sure that like they're using their phones. They know what settings to turn on and off. I was just
Right.
looking at that. They're like
Yeah.
60 frames per second on your phone and turn off HDR. I just did that on my phone, so I know that. But I think also something that I want to try doing at future weddings is like every now and then, like during the ceremony, just pausing and taking like 10 seconds to hit record. And then at the end of the day, like have several videos where I just took 10 seconds to record like a moment,
that's
or like set up
cool.
my phone or have it on top of my camera. There's a tool that will let you do
Seen
that. Mine broke the day of the wedding though. but that's okay.
But did you need any more weight on that thing? Honestly.
Oh my gosh.
No. But so, or even have a second do it.
Well, and then that's another thing that I just thought of is like setting time in your ceremony to have people get out their phones so that they can.
I've seen someone do
That's
that
true.
where
It's
at the very
interesting.
beginning they're like, okay, we're all up here. Everyone take out your phones and take your pictures now and then put them away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my officiant during the ceremony, like right at the beginning, he said, pause. And he was like, I want you to take a deep breath. And like, I want you to like, just take it in. And so it was just a moment of like, all like us looking at us. And then we turned and we were able to like look at them, smile and acknowledge them. And that was really cool. And that's something that it's like one of the only times that a photographer is able to actually capture somebody's like full face, because it's either from the side getting their face, but I've had ceremonies where the couple will face the officiant. And so their back is to me the entire time. I can't get any photos of the emotion,
The faces.
the faces. And so face each other, hold hands. Sometimes people, they'll just stand there like that.
It's more awkward that way, not to.
Hold hands, but face each other, and like it's okay to kind of like look out, smile, take it in, and your photographer will capture that. Yeah.
I've seen some people do a photo from the other side, from the officiant looking over at the audience. Well, how do you feel about that? Would that be annoying? Would that be...
If there's room. So if it's
Yeah.
like outside, I say you can do it. At one time, I second shot a wedding, and I was like trying to get that photo, but I was like going in bushes and making noise, and the photographer looked at me and was like, "No, don't do that." So
If you're going to be
lesson learned.
disruptive,
Don't be disruptive, but also talk to them beforehand. Like if you're going to try doing that, ask them, is it okay if I try to do this? I think it would be a really cool shot. I've seen like the first kiss be from the perspective of like where the officiant would be, and you get all of the crowd and all of their reactions. You won't have that shot though on the reverse side of like that first kiss unless you have a second shooter. So maybe
and
something.
then you might be in the frame.
Right. And then you might be in frame. But
So like there's so much
or
to
you could
consider.
like take it and then you'd have to move
you
so
can
that
run
the second
back.
shooter could
I've
get it. Yeah, that'd be
seen
hard.
videos of people doing that where they'll take that shot, run around, and then they try and capture the recessional. But it's
a lot.
difficult. It's a lot. So I would say like if you that's something that like you really want, like that is a must-have photo for you. Talk to them, make sure there's enough space for them. Try and figure out a way that they can do it non-disruptively, and make sure they have a second photographer to capture the recessional, or be ready for them to run.
Yeah. That's something too about turning around and like walking back down the aisle. If you just see iPhones recording, I can see how that would feel less like intimate.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like you see that
Almost
a
like
lot.
an attraction or something.
Huh?
Like you're
Yeah.
an attraction or like a
Right. And it's like, oh my goodness.
show.
It's like that. Yeah, it's sweet, but like I invited you to see your face and
Right,
that you
yeah.
could see my face. Like, so-
yeah, like I invited you because like I love you. I
Right.
care about
Yeah.
you. I don't care about your phone. You know?
I will
Right.
say, not during the ceremony, but like there are certain moments like during the reception that I love seeing phones out. When someone is like, oh, take a photo, and they get together like a random group of their friends and someone's taking a photo, I'll take a photo where I have in the foreground.
for the reception. Is that what you're talking
Yeah, for the reception.
Yes,
I
love
love those
photos.
photos because that is to me like part of storytelling.
Yeah.
Because like that's part of the story.
Yeah.
Like that's modern day technology being used to capture memories. Like
Yeah.
I think that is part of the story, and I think that's a more socially acceptable place to have a phone out.
Yeah. I feel like anytime after the ceremony, I don't think it matters. It's more like in the ceremony, it's the most intimate part of the whole, I'd say the whole day, probably. Maybe besides like the first dance, I guess. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it's like you can be in the moment for this 20 minutes that we're going to do this for. Or 30, 40, however, who you are.
Yeah. I'm part of an association called Wedding Venue Map, and it's basically for wedding professionals to join, and they like vet their vendors, and it's super cool. Check it out if you're in the Central Florida area. And they reached out to me because they're doing a blog post on recessional music, I think.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted a photographer's perspective on how to capture a joy-filled moment during the recessional, like when they're leaving. And so the tip that I sent in was if you're going, it's very popular, like when you're doing the recessional, to pause midway through, 3/4 of the way through, or at the very end of the aisle, and do a kiss. My advice is to practice the kiss. How do you want the kiss to look? I would record yourself. Maybe it's just you want a sweet little kiss, or maybe you want to do like a full-on dip. Practice it. Think about how a bouquet would be. Like if you're going to have a bouquet or something in your hands, do you have to switch hands? How can you do that gracefully? And then if you're doing a dip, center yourself. So if you're both walking down the aisle and you have one party who's dipping the other party and they dip, they're going over here. They're no longer in the center. But if you have the person who's dipping move in towards the center and then dip, you're going to be right center.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So that's just if you're like nitpicking things. And I feel like we kind of are because we're photographers and we notice the details.
Yeah.
But that's just something small to think about and to practice.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any tips for like cake cutting?
Oh.
Honestly, for me, I feel like that is a moment where I prefer to go more documentary style.
Okay.
Just because there's so much joy during it. Like all the pressure is off. The wedding, like the ceremony, the formal portraits, like all of that has already happened. And that's the more stressful part. It's the partying. You've already done a little bit of partying usually. And so now you can just have fun. I would say like take it slow. So that way your photographer doesn't have to tell you to go slower.
Yeah, I mean, and take it so that you can enjoy it too.
And take it so that you can enjoy it. Unless you talk about it prior, do not do a cake smash.
Oh, no.
Oh,
We need to stop doing that, I think.
Or if it's okay, like if you know your person's gonna be okay with that, then fine. But particularly, don't smash it into the face of the girl. She did so much makeup and like all
Unless
the
she's okay
things.
with it.
Unless she's okay with it. Yeah. Like if you cleared it with her already, that's fine. But
Also, the cost of getting people, like professionals, to do bridal makeup is actually insane.
I figured.
Like, I've been looking into it somewhat, but I'm like, this is crazy.
It's a skill.
Well, yeah. No,
It's
like
a skill
it
service,
is, but
yeah.
I never thought of like that being that expensive. And then to ruin it with cake.
Right.
Nope. Could not be me.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you guys know like why we do cake cutting at a wedding?
Why?
No.
Why?
Because it's the first thing that you work together to do in your marriage. So it's like the first act that you kind of like.
And
do
it's
together.
cake.
And it's cake.
Dang,
Who
I
wouldn't
was going to
want
do
cake?
cupcakes because I just like cupcakes better, but
my
I'm
best
hearing
friend,
that.
when my best friend got married, she was a culinary student and a gourmet chef, and she did all her own
Goodness.
cupcakes, and they were so good.
So good.
There we go.
So I'm totally on board with the cupcakes.
I love cupcakes.
We did a
Me
small
and
cake.
yeah.
what?
A small cake and then other desserts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me and my fiance, what we're doing is we're doing a small, like 2-tiered cake just so we can cut something. And then we're just going to do like.
just 2 tiers, nothing crazy.
No, but like a small, like that big probably. Like it's small. Because neither of us are like real cake people. Mm-hmm. But I want something to cut.
Well, so that's kind of interesting because like now that you kind of know like the origins of like why we do the cake cutting, like what else could you do together that's like that first thing that you do together as a team? It's alternatives to cake cutting.
That's true. I still want a cake though.
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's totally okay to go traditional with that, but
Right.
yeah.
I remember when I was younger, someone doing like this like sand layering thing.
Oh yeah.
Hand layering. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
where you-
2010.
It is very 2010. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember seeing that at a wedding that I
We're
was.
gonna offend somebody.
Yeah. Oh no.
No
you guys.
offense.
It's great if you want to do that. Go
We were
for
so
it.
happy for you, but we listen and we judge. So. I'm joking.
There's a lot of stuff that in weddings that are just have been done forever and are continuing to be done.
Yeah.
Like I think Hope and I were talking about the other day, like where did the idea of a white dress come from? Like where was the origin? And it was actually I want to say it was Queen Victoria that decided to wear a white dress. So that it just became Queen Victoria wore a white dress, and then it also became to show purity and like the white. It's like very clean, so the purity of that. And then it was like, oh, Crown Victoria, Queen Victoria did that, so we're all gonna do that. And now it's like the thing.
Something similar happened with diamonds. Like it was, I think, it was either a really famous celebrity or royal who decided to do a diamond, and so that became our symbol for engagement, because it used to be gemstones.
Right.
Like it used to be a different kind of, I don't remember which one, but
Yeah, it used to be different though.
it used to be different. Yeah.
Another tip, I guess, what I'll be doing, this is about me. It's all about me. I'm joking. But I've always thought that I would get my colors done for me to see what colors look best on me.
Oh, okay.
To figure out what white is going to look best on me as well.
Right,
That's a
because
good
there's
idea.
ivory, then you have white, then you have
Yeah.
cream.
So
Yeah.
that's another thing. And that can like make a world of a difference for your photos on whether you look washed out or not.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think white is my best color. So
Well, there's-
I'm so pale.
There's also like you can have like depending on what style dress you have.
Right.
They
Yeah,
have
you
like
can break
the
it up.
undertone of it can be like a darker like whitish, but like it's like a darker color.
Yeah. Help offset if white's not your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, you don't have to do white, but
Don't.
I don't know. I like it now as like the
Yeah.
thing to do.
Put a bunch of girls on a podcast talking about weddings. And
Like this isn't really about photography anymore. This is just us
anymore.
talking
It's just
about
weddings.
But to
Back
circle
to photography,
Yeah,
maybe.
to circle back to photography, I think I want to talk about a little bit about archiving if you
Oh.
have film at your wedding.
okay. Yeah.
What to do after with
Oh.
those negatives. I keep just about every single negative that I've shot. I have, with the exception of a few that I just don't want to associate myself with.
the ones that we don't talk about. Yeah, no.
And whether or not you want those negatives or what. But it's interesting because a negative is almost like a raw
Yeah.
Yeah.
file. Like, how would you
Like, do you
what would
give those to them?
Yeah.
Do you keep them? Is that what you're saying?
As I think for me, if I were to start doing this regularly, I would be happy to give negatives to, because I feel like they'd use it much more than I would. I don't see any use in me keeping it.
Unless they didn't have any use for it and then they ended up throwing them away.
But at the same time, like a negative, if anything happens to the digital files, because it can still happen, just because it's digital doesn't mean that it's going to be there forever.
yeah.
Like, there's still things that can happen. Files can get corrupt, or maybe they just weren't properly stored, because that type of stuff isn't taught, how to
right.
archive your digital files and catalog those.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also a very real possibility. So having that as a backup system might be helpful. So
Here's something, if we want to get into it. People asking for raw files.
what are your thoughts? Because I was thinking about this last night.
Yeah, I think about it all the time.
I had that happen once. I said no, and then she changed her review from a 5-star to a 1-star.
The thing is, the way
That's
the
crazy.
way I explain somebody looking at a raw file or like the back of my camera is, if you're a painter and you have your canvas and you stenciled everything out and you have like the structure and you know exactly what you want to do with it, but then someone asks to see it. It's like a lot goes into the shooting, but also for the photographer, you're shooting for the edit. So if you know how you edit, then I'm going to shoot this way. And if you know how you want it to look as the final, it may look darker in the raw file, but I did that on purpose because of blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that happened to me with the gender reveal. I was shooting a gender reveal, and these kids wanted their photo taken, and I was like, well, it's going to be dark because the entire thing was backlit. It was like, I know I can bring up these shadows, but I can't bring back those highlights.
Right?
So it was dark, and they were like, oh, can I see it? And it was dark, and they were like, oh. Well,
Right,
just
and
wait.
then it's
like, it'll be
like-
fine, I promise.
Yeah, but then I feel bad being like, no, you can't see the back of my camera. But then it's like, sometimes it can really be a confidence boost for someone, though.
Yeah.
If they just need to like see that, oh, I look
It,
good.
it could also do the opposite, though.
Oh,
Right. Yeah. Well,
So you
and
kind
here's
of have to
another thing
feel
about
it
like the
out.
whole raw file thing. I don't think many people know truly what a raw file is.
That's what I was
Right.
going to
Do
say.
you have the software to open it? Because you probably
right?
don't.
Because you probably don't.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna? Okay, like have my raw file. What are you gonna do with it?
Look at the
Yeah.
preview.
I can get mean about it.
Well, so I think they
Yeah,
view
me
RAWs
too.
as just
Yeah.
like an unedited like JPEG, but
That's
it's
what
not.
they
It's not.
see it as, but
Right.
it's not.
Yeah.
You have to have the right software for it.
Yeah.
So
I will say, I think her changing to that one star, that was a miscommunication. This was very on in my photography career. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, no, don't worry. You get so many photos. Like I took like 300 photos, but I took 300. I'm not going to
You
deliver.
only took 300.
It wasn't a wedding. It was a birthday party. It was like
Goodness.
2 hours. It was like right when I very first started, and it was
Okay.
like $50.
Right.
And so she wanted like, I think she kept like being like, oh, I want all the raws, and I took that as understanding. She wants like the raw files, the unedited, and they're like super dark because I was exposing for the highlights.
Right.
But I think she just meant like she wanted the other photos that weren't included. But I think there was some kind of miscommunication there. And so I
Right.
think that's something where maybe like once when she had asked, I could have communicated better and educated them because they don't know better. And honestly, I didn't even know better at the time to communicate that.
right.
Yeah.
And that's something that's very common with photography is for people that aren't in it or have gone to school or just, or have a family member that talks about it all the time. Even things like price. They're like, why are you charging this much? All you're doing is taking photos and sending them to me. And it's like, okay, now we can go into what Natalie would say, teacher mode. She's like, all right, I'm going to explain how it works because you don't understand. And that's okay. But it's like, no, I never give out raw files. Why? One, you probably couldn't open them. Two, you're not paying me for the raw files. If you wanted me to just take photos, I would have took them on your iPhone.
Well, with that being said, when I was thinking about this, I was like, I would do if it was laid out that which I guess for commercial work, this is very common to just take the photos and then
That's true.
send them off to someone else to be edited. For that's their job is to edit them.
yeah.
But for like a wedding or something like that, if it was like a photographer who really wanted their own style for their wedding and that was completely laid out that they would
Right,
get
yes.
all of the photos, that's the thing. If you want your raw files, you're also going to have to cull it too. I'm not going to cull it and then just send you what I think is best.
Yeah.
When you're asking for raw files, you're signing up to cull, to edit, and then to store them, catalog them.
All
I'm
of
not
it.
doing. I'm not doing half of the work.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
We kind of talked about something like that because you mentioned earlier a friend who's getting married and they asked you to be a wedding photographer. You weren't sure, so you asked me kind of like what were your rates, and so I was like, okay, well here's my rates. Like if I'm photographing, like doing the whole shebang, planning meetings, all of that, editing, culling. But then I kind of suggested to you after I was like, okay, so let's say like you choose not to photograph this, but like they're more budget. What if you hired me as a lead shooter, not as a like a full photographer like my business, but like as a lead shooter for you. And so then you would get the files, and then you would get to cull, and you would get to edit and deliver them.
Well, and if we're really
Yeah.
thinking about it, that's what a second shooter does.
Yeah,
Right.
That's exactly what a second
So-
shooter is.
Yeah. If you're asking for raw files, you're also asking for how many photos did you take, Vanessa?
Right. You're asking for
I don't want to talk about it.
thousands of photos.
6,500.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
thousands of photos. That's why it takes
Thousands.
like 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the photographer, to get your photos back. You have
Yeah.
to go through 6,500 photos.
I don't always take that many, but it was a long
It was
day.
a long day.
And
At least
that also included the rehearsal dinner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
add in
Still,
another 2
usually
hours.
it's at least a few thousand.
So you guys wouldn't want someone to say, I just want the raw files of what you thought was best.
Yeah.
No.
Why?
No.
Why though? Like,
Because we're artists.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
we're
if you're-
artists.
Again, the
and-
whole painting thing.
but
Yeah.
what if the bride or the groom was also a photographer and they don't
yeah.
necessarily want all of them, just the highlights
they
that
have to
they
cull
feel
it.
like they want to edit.
Because I
And
think
that would go into
I
what
think
Bree was
the
saying
editing part
with-
starts at culling.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
multiple times where there are almost the same photo, except
yeah.
there's just something slightly different. I'm not going to make that decision. That's using my brain power. At that point, I'm gonna do the job 100% instead of just this 25%. And so then, if you are willing to edit the photos, you can also decide which ones you want to edit.
I guess I meant if they're asking you to do the whole thing, edits included.
Oh, edits included?
And then they're just like, I just would like to mess around with it and
No.
see.
No, you can mess around with. Well, no, actually,
No.
no. Once I send it to you, that's it.
Yeah.
You will not. You're not going to be posting your edited version of my photo.
Well,
Well,
they do
and
that.
then-
They
and
put
then-
filters.
yeah,
My
they do.
husband
Yeah.
did that for my photographer. I was like, why does this photo look so weird?
Well, and then there's
That's like,
the
I
whole
thought it looked
thing
better.
That's a whole thing.
on copyright. When
Yeah.
you give away a raw, you are giving up your copyright
Yeah.
to that photo. And so that's another thing. So like I have this photo. I'm not going to give you another version so that you can also own it, because then that gets messy too.
Right.
Not that with wedding photography that's much of an issue, I guess, but
Most of the
it could be an
time-
issue.
Yeah, most of the time, they're not going to ask for the raw files.
Yeah.
I say most of the time.
If they ask for the raw files after you deliver the edited versions, it's usually because for some reason they're unhappy with the images.
Yeah.
So I think then we kind of have to step into a customer service standpoint and try and figure out why they're upset with the photos. Is it like maybe they didn't like the way that the greens are? And so you as an artist or a photographer, you have to decide how willing are you to bend on
Right.
this? Are you willing to go in and just adjust the hue of the green or bring down the luminance? Or is it like, this is my art, I'm not adjusting
Take
my
it or
art
leave
for
it.
you? Yeah, and you guys heard of the sepia bride, right?
I heard of it. I don't know like the whole story.
Okay.
Or the details.
So there's a photographer, and the photographer has a very sepia toned style. And they did an engagement session, and the bride loved the photos. But then it came to the wedding, and the bride was unhappy with the photos because she didn't like the toning and the sepia tone. And so it was this big debate online about. Because the bride was like, can I get the raws? And then the photographer was like, no. And she's like, well, what about like this? And then she blasted the photographer on social media. And then the photographer was like, no, and it just went back
Right,
and
it
forth.
just went back and forth.
And it very much like blew up on social media because it was this big debate. Like, should she give over the raws? Should
No.
she give? And so people were trying to educate people on what raw files were and talking about like it from an artist standpoint. Some people were talking about it from a service standpoint.
Ultimately, it comes down to your
And other
contract.
people
Oh,
were
yeah.
editing the photos and being like, this is what she could have done.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's always so funny. Or I've seen reels, this is kind of off topic, but it was a wedding photo, so it's kind of on topic, where they send their raw file to like 10 not very well-known photographers, and then they make
yeah.
a reel with all the different styles. Some of them, I have to say, I was like, that is not good. But it's like a lot of them were really good.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is interesting. But yeah, no, I was gonna say something now. I don't. Oh, on that with that story though, it's like look, that's why it's so important of what photographer you choose
Yeah.
and doing the research. What is their style? Are they consistent? Are they changing every shoot? Are they like the lady I chose? She's been doing this for years and she's had the same look, does the same color grading that she's been doing for
Right.
years. So it's like I know that that's what I'm gonna get.
So
So that
bringing-
also goes into like, yeah, you as the person hiring need to do your own research into that person, and they're gonna do what what their style is, and you need to be okay with that.
So bringing that back to film negatives, because like we all know, I edit my film photos. I believe Vanessa is intending to edit
I am.
my film photos as she completely should. So would giving those negatives,
It would
Equate.
be that raw file.
it would be that raw file.
Oh.
So
I think the negative in and of itself is still the raw file, even if you don't edit it, because it's the
Yeah.
rawest form of that photo.
right.
I feel like I would personally choose, like if the couple that we worked with decided that they didn't want the negatives and you were going to throw away the negatives, I would take the negatives.
Would you?
I would. Just because I feel like, at least, especially if they're my negatives, I always keep my negatives. Like that's my photo. Those are my raw files.
Well-
I always keep my raw files.
So
Right.
in that situation, in that second shooter, lead shooter relationship,
Right? Would you
my
give?
photos are your photos.
Yeah.
So you would give them to her.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I would store them. And honestly, I think that as a photographer, I understand like how to properly store them
Yeah.
versus the couple might not. And so in 15 years down the road, I always keep my negatives unless there's like some house fire. They can come up to me and say, hey, do you still have my photos? And I'll be like, yes, I do.
Right.
and I can rescan them, or if it's digitals, I can pull them off the hard drive and then give them back to them. Now, I could charge for that.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually in my contracts.
Yeah.
That if like after their gallery expires, if they want it, technically I have the right to like charge them to re-upload them.
As you should.
I
'cause that
haven't.
takes-
I mean, it's happened before,
Yeah.
but I haven't because it's just not a big deal for me.
Right.
But not saying
Yeah.
that I wouldn't. It's in my
but to,
contracts.
Well, it's good that it's in
rescan,
there.
that would take, I think, a lot more time.
Yeah.
And then you should.
Especially if, because once when you like sleeve them and everything, like I feel like it does get exposed more to like dust and potential scratches.
yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
if you have
Especially if
to
you're not storing
rescan them,
properly.
if you have to rescan them, you potentially have to do all that correction as well.
Yeah. But this is the thing. If you are getting film at your wedding and you are getting your negatives back, either maybe your photographer will cut and sleeve them for you, or you can do it yourself. And then they're the same size as like a legal document, like 8.5 by 11
Yeah.
letter size, US letter. So just store it with all of your wedding documents and it should be fine.
Put it in with your marriage license,
Oh,
and there you go.
Yeah. So that I guess would be my tip, because I was thinking about that for this wedding, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any tips on how they can not lose the digital images?
The
Like,
customer?
Yeah.
I mean,
To-
don't lose them.
Well, okay, but how
system.
do you?
I guess this is something that I'm still
Oh,
trying to
sorry.
figure out for myself. Like with all of my digital files
Yeah.
and my film scans, it's like, how do I make sure that I'm not going to lose these? So for my film, I get, like I've said, I keep all my negatives and then they're always uploaded to a cloud.
What platform do you use for the cloud? If you don't
I
mind
just keep it in
asking.
my iCloud.
Like iCloud. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
keep mine in my iCloud too.
So I learned the other day that because I mean you have to pay for storage, right?
Yeah.
right.
But if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, they have something like Amazon Photos, and you can upload any number, unlimited photos
Oh, wow.
to them.
Wow.
Including
like a-
RAWs.
Oh.
Yeah. Game changer.
Whoa.
So I'm paying
I
like
didn't know
$16 a month for Amazon Prime, and now it also does all my photo storage
can you
too.
organize in it, or is it just a dump?
I'm pretty sure you can organize it.
Well, so and
Oh.
with UCF, we get OneDrive. So that's, I'll keep a lot of my school stuff, especially the stuff where I'm like, once I graduate, I don't care about it. I'll just keep it in there. And I should probably also keep it on another drive. So 2 digital forms and then 1 physical. Maybe even do more physical media too. Physical media
I have
is great.
right now. I have 2 hard drives, external hard drives. One of them has all my school stuff on it, and the other one is all like my work and then client work.
But this is your PSA that hard drives, SSDs can still fail.
Yeah,
Yes.
they can.
And they probably will within a few years. Not a few years. You probably have a couple years, but
So
always back them
so
up.
then what do you
Yeah.
do with that?
So I have a whole workflow. Like when I get home from a wedding, I immediately start uploading my images, and so I'll upload it to the hard drive. I'll upload the JPEGs to the cloud, and then I won't delete any of the photos off the SD card. I won't format it until after I deliver, and I've gotten a positive response back from my clients.
Love that.
But thinking about it in terms of my clients, because I get my clients they'll download the images and they can download it as a folder. And I always recommend that they store it in some kind of like hard drive or something like
flash
that.
drive or
but
something.
Things become outdated.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that it is important for people to periodically how many people have their wedding photos on a CD?
Yeah, I think my parents do.
Yeah.
You know, and so like that technology is almost becoming obsolete. You'd have to go to a specialist at
Right.
that point to recover those
Yeah.
photos.
And
Michael over there
even
saying it's
now-
not that old.
Even now, USB I think will
It's
be
starting to
a
phase
thing
out.
of the
It
past.
is starting,
starting
to
to
phase
phase out.
out.
Think about it. Think about your wedding photos
So
or your important
this
photos.
is your sign. If you have your wedding photos on a USB, upload them to a cloud that you'll have access to and to some updated form of like a hard drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing with you. I guess a lot of people may think that digital just means it's always going to be there. When again, that's just not the case.
Technology fails.
Technology fails.
Technology fails.
Technology is always advancing, so that old stuff
Yeah.
is going to be useless. So you have to keep up with it too. It's not just something that you can forget about.
So what is your full not hours long?
Post-shooting,
Yeah,
I guess.
like, okay, you get home from wedding, you upload photos.
Post-processing, I guess is what
Yeah.
we would call
My
it.
gosh. Post-processing.
Yeah. So the day after a wedding, like a long wedding especially, I always make sure I have the day off, just because that is recovery mode for me. And for some reason, I can never sleep like the morning after. So like I always wake up at like 7 in the morning, even though I was up until like 1 a.m. or something like that. So I start uploading the SD cards that night. I can't always stay awake that long just because my SD card processor is a bit slow. I've been thinking about upgrading that, but I'll at least do the first SD card. I usually only have them on 2 SD cards. Like I do dual slot, so I have 4 total.
You
but
4?
like 4 SD cards like for a wedding. So like my camera's dual slot. So
Because you pop in a new one right before the ceremony?
yeah. So if there's a long getting ready time, right before a ceremony, I'll change out the SD card. That way, like, I don't know. I like to separate my SD cards by moments in case like a card corrupts. But I have a camera with dual slots, so I'm photographing like 2 SD cards at the same time. So I start uploading the SD cards. In the morning, I'll wake up and I'll pop in the SD cards that I didn't finish the night before. While those are uploading, this time I went to Target and I got myself a Pedialyte and some Advil because sometimes after a wedding, it's like a hangover.
We were like majorly focused and just in it for hours.
Right. And it was very hot and I didn't drink enough water. So
That's another thing I'm going to invest in. I feel like I've seen a belt that you can just put a water bottle in. I need one of those.
I know, right?
I love belts.
So then in the morning, when it's all done uploading, I just start culling. I use Photo Mechanic to cull through my photos. And I used to do like a color system. I'm trying to switch to a star system.
You know what I've been seeing? I've been
What?
seeing people use like game controllers to cull.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I kind of want to try it.
I saw that. I posted it to my story yesterday. Somebody doing that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't post. I commented. But I've seen people doing that. I have something called like a tour box. I bought it. My husband got it for me as a Christmas gift. But it is sort of like the same thing. Like it's a console that's like meant. And so it has like a couple of different dials. So it helps me quickly go through photos. Necessary? No. Convenient? Useful? Sometimes. I'll go through the photos and I'll pick out like, and I've been playing around with this because I usually try and deliver a sneak peek. So the previous wedding I did, like the very next day I delivered a sneak peek and it was like 10 images. It wasn't very many. But it was just like a small sneak peek and they got it the very next day after the wedding. So I'll pick out like what images I choose for a sneak peek and then start to edit those ones.
Right.
This time I decided to do a few more. Like I think I did like 45 photos for a sneak peek. And if I choose to continue doing that amount, I won't always I'll never guarantee like the day after because what if I have something planned or, I mean, I don't, but,
or something comes up. It could be anything.
I've heard people debating this. Would a couple prefer to have like a smaller amount of photos sooner or wait a week and then get a larger amount? And someone once was like, you know, I always delivered photos like within 48 hours of a wedding, like the sneak peek. But then when I got married, this isn't my story, but somebody else's. When I got married, I realized I didn't want photos the very next day.
Yeah, because you just remembered. You just were there yesterday.
Right.
Yeah, you want it in a week when it's nostalgic again.
Right. And so
Well, I know a lot of people want to post them on social media. So there's
that's
also
the other thing too.
that aspect.
So, but people will post all the people that are in the middle of the aisle with their cameras. They'll post those
that's
photos.
true.
That's what happens.
Or if you have
Yeah, but do you
disposable
want them?
cameras
Do
that
you want them to? As the
have,
photographer?
you can also post some of those if they're
Well,
good.
but those you have to take the time to process them.
Yeah,
and
for
send
us
them
it's a
off.
little
and-
easier.
That's true.
Send them to
I was
us.
thinking like, I can send it in and it'll be done in like a few days.
Yeah, you'll have it next day. Not everyone's like that.
That's
We're
true.
cool.
Yeah. So I deliver the highlights, as I call them, or like the sneak peek. And so then I give myself a little bit of a break if I need to from their photos to emotionally detach myself from the wedding. So that way I can look at it more objectively. And I'll finish any culling that I have to do. And then after that, if I have other projects that need to be done before that wedding, I'll finish those projects because I know that I have 6 to 8 weeks to deliver a wedding. I usually do try to deliver within a month, but sometimes I take up to like 6 weeks. And so that gives me the time to be able to really go through and like edit. And so that's my process. I told you about how I store files. I have like 5 hard drives at home.
So you archive every wedding that you've done?
Yeah.
Wow.
Every photo shoot, every portrait, like even like family stuff, I'll archive it.
Wow. I feel like I'd be the photographer to be like, oops, it's gone. Which is kind of bad, but maybe that's why I'll be a second shooter.
Let's do some closing thoughts.
Yeah, I was
almost
just going
out
to
of
say,
time.
we need to archive this podcast. So any closing remarks anyone has?
Come back to this come back to this podcast when you're planning your wedding.
Save it for later.
Yes. Add it to the watch later.
Do research as a wedding photographer. Ask questions. Try to network. Ask another wedding photographer that's been doing it questions. That'd be my suggestion.
Okay. I think definitely do like all of your research and your planning as far in advance as you can. And so that way when like the day of your wedding comes, you can enjoy it. You're not worried about like, oh my gosh, did I forget this on the shot list? True story, actually. I forgot one set of grandparents on my shot list. And when we realized that, like, I was like, wait, we need to pull in my other grandparents. The photographer was like, that's not on the shot list. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh no.
So consult with people to make sure you've got everybody on the shot list. And the biggest thing is communicate with your photographer.
Yeah.
Or if you're a photographer, take the initiative to communicate with your client what you think they need to know and what you need to know. You know, make sure that you're talking with them to make sure you've got everybody on the shot list. I always ask, you're not forgetting any grandparents, you're not forgetting any siblings, any significant others. Prioritize what's important to you. And yeah, have fun.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Shoot
See you
film.
guys.
That was a sad ending, guys.